Apparently the Poffos, though, they said, well, we got to punch up. Punching up is different than punching down.
There's a flip side, guys. Sorry to cut you off, but that's where we get interesting.
And it turns physical. Eventually, since they're not answering the responses on television, Randy Savage is waiting in Lexington for these guys to pull up from the JArrett promotion in Memphis and do their show. He's already there by the time the talent make it. And Jimmy Hart, of course, is there first. And Randy Savage lets him know, I'm taking out Jerry Lawler tonight. And this is all happening in front of fans because fans are outside of the arena waiting to get inside and see these great wrestling matches they've been looking forward to. And
Rupp Arena.
They're ready to roll. And that's when Jimmy breaks the bad news. Hey, Lawler just broke his leg playing touch football. He's not going to be here tonight. Savage immediately says, okay, tonight I'm taking out Dundee. And he meant it. It wasn't just Randy Savage who was there. The entire ICW locker room bought tickets to this show in Lexington. And the idea is we're going to kick the shit out of Bill Dundee when he comes out for the main event. But right before that match happened, the match before, a fan started to attack Jimmy Hart. A riot starts, not involving the crew here, and the police have to get everybody involved, and they're settling the fans down. But now with all this strong police force, the main event goes off without any issues. But that's not the full story, because allegedly Randy Savage turned the volume all the way up in real life too, not just in front of wrestling fans. But there's a pretty famous Waffle House story. I can't believe this is real. Chat me up about the Waffle House story.
Well, so and look, there is, the legend and the story grows, but when you really drill this down to this set of circumstances, no coincidences, only convergences. Savage and his crew had kind of look. And I know Randy, I mean, that there was multiple, and I think different people have told different versions, but the ICW crew had enough. They were going to, because spending money when you run ads in a newspaper, that ain't free. Getting in your car and driving 150 miles or 200 miles, or, there were some things, and that's what Eddie Marley used to say. Those knuckleheads are spending gas money to come harass us going in and out of the buildings. What the hell? I mean, they were really trying to make noise. Well, they had finally had enough, and they had planned to, okay, we're going to kick Lawler's ass, and that will get a response, and that'll get notoriety, and that'll help our promotion. Lawler playing touch football in Memphis. This, when we pick up on the Lawler episode, this is kind of where we'll dive in, because that's when on TV, Jimmy Hart went out at my dad's direction and says, what do you do to a horse that breaks his leg? Well, you shoot him and kill him. And Paul Ellering came out, was the new king of Memphis, and Lawler healed up on the leg and came back as a babyface. And we'll get into that story. But so Lawler not there, Dundee there. Dundee, is the number 2 babyface who was thrust into the number 1 slot. And then here are these guys, okay, Lawler we're going to kick your ass, Bill. And for there to be a riot and Jimmy Hart doing his antics as a heel, and the police have to come down to ringside, and they were already on notice. And so there weren't any opportunities, and however you want to say it, cooler heads provide at this building. And I just want a little footnote here. And this is something that, we're talking early 80s. But for those that don't know, the state of Alabama, the last 20 years, Roll Tide, Crimson Tide football is, and it's always been, but, Bear Bryant back in those days. But in the state of Kentucky, basketball, legit, it is the absolute number one. It is the number one sport in so many ways. But Rupp Arena is where the University of Kentucky plays their basketball, and they fill it up. And so we ran there monthly. Now, we didn't have 18,000, but the way you could petition the building off and curtain it off, 8, 10,000. So, but the way it was cut in half, it was a loud, rowdy, but great parking. But Rupp Arena in Lexington is the Mecca. Everybody came there. So for Randy and those guys to make a point that we're going to jump in the ring in the main event of this show, it was a big strategic hit. And when it didn't happen, they pivoted. And as talent does, as we are creatures of habit, they line up. And I don't know, Conrad, because I think there's 2 Waffle House incidences actually where the Dutch refers to, and you're not talking about the Dutch, but you're talking about when Randy jumped Bill, correct?
Whatever you'd like to share about the Macho Man Randy Savage in a Waffle House in Tennessee.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it ended up being back in Tennessee. It's not in Lexington. They had a scuffle that went nowhere. But yeah, and Dutch tells this story better. We need to get him his version. But they jumped Bill, and there was I don't know all the details of it, Conrad. It got ugly, but it was kind of the end of the. If I remember, yeah, this was the end of it because. I mean, there were guns every night that were not drawn, but it could have, or it did get out of hand. But at the Waffle House, Bill Eaton, Randy goes in, loose cannon, and they fight, and police come, and it was a mess.
Allegedly, there was a police dog. I mean, the story just gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah, that's where Randy punched the dog, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's amazing when we say which Waffle House story are we talking about with Randy Savage? Like, that's the level of crazy we are. Where there are, if someone says, "Tell the so and so Waffle House story," and the response is, "Which one?" The one where there was a gang fight, or where he beat a police dog? Like, which one? Like, that's where we were. That's Randy Savage. He was an outlaw. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson here to tell you a little more about what adfreeshows.com is all about. Get early, ad-free access to more than a dozen of your favorite wrestling podcasts every single week, starting at just $9. That's less than 20 cents an episode each month. And yes, you can listen to them all directly through Apple Podcasts or your regular podcast apps. How easy is that? Ad-free shows also has thousands of hours worth of bonus content and docuseries like Title Chase, Eric Fires Back, Conversations with Conrad, and The Insiders. Plus new series like The Book with David Crockett, Monday Mailbags with Mike Chioda and Nick Patrick, and a whole lot more. And you want to talk about early? You can't get any earlier than listening to the shows live. You can be a part of the live studio audience as we record the podcast. Plus, ride shotgun alongside your favorite childhood heroes for live watch-alongs, Q&As, and other interactive experiences every single month. Come on now, see for yourself what thousands of other wrestling fans from around the world have discovered, that adfreeshows.com is the best value in wrestling. Check it out today, and hey, when you do, the first week is completely free. adfreeshows.com.